Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 4 of my best tips for tomorrow's racing. Now before we get stuck into those, I just quickly want to recap on how our selections have performed today. Now I'm currently recording this video at 6:30 and we still have one more selection to go in the 7:30 at Wolverhampton. That's my next best, where we've gone for Glowing for Gold. Fingers crossed he can do the business there for Ray Dawson and Ishmael Mohammed. So that's our only tip left to run on Monday. However, away from that, like I said, I'll just quickly recap on how they've performed. In the end, yes, it's not been our finest hour today. We'll start with our nap, which was the Bay Birch at Warwick for Matt Shepherd, and in the end there was a bit of a drift on this horse. We put it up at 11-2 last night and I thought the market was only going to go one way and this horse was going to shorten, and there was plenty of support for it, with some firms I think went as short as 7-2 at one point I saw earlier today, so I was always quite keen there from the market. However, not long before the race, in the last hour or so, took a bit of a drift out, and I believe there was 10-1 in some places not long before the off, and I was really questioning why. However, it's not always a negative thing if a horse drifts. Some people think it is, sometimes it can be, but I've tipped up horses before in the past. I remember last year I put up a horse for Richard Hughes. I put it up the night before at 9-4 and it ended off going off at 12-1 and it absolutely bolted up. So if you were on the best odds there, you were definitely rubbing your hands together. So these big drifts can happen, and they're not always the negatives. But the Bay Birch, going back to her performance today, I thought there was nothing you could criticise at all about the horse's performance or the jockey. You know, he gave her a great ride. I thought just tracking off the pace, you know, they went quite quickly. And at one point I thought we were going to be having another winning nap in September. She looked very good. I think she was very short on Betfair and running, and when she swinged into the home turn on her, you know, I thought we had it in the bag, but in the end she just lacked that extra gear that was needed to go and win the race. Some people I saw on Twitter that got in touch with me said, oh, she should have been played later, but I don't think she would have had the pace to go and win the race. She just bumped into a well handicapped sort in Temple Park, who she did have to give away, I think it was £12 to, so she did have to give, remember, quite a bit of weight away to some of her rivals. Obviously she's a classy mare and she was well handicapped, and I think it was a very encouraging performance, you know, and I was happy to back her at the prices because I thought she was outstandingly well handicapped, and she went and proved that today, that she still has that ability, and she'll definitely be winning races again, I think, this season. So I'm not complaining about it at all. You know, it's just one of those things that happen in racing, where he just bumped into a couple of fairly better treated horses. But yeah, that was how the nap performed today. Obviously I know some of you will have different opinions, but that was my take on it. Away from that, then the other tips, the Longshot Isotope, he didn't jump particularly well for, especially in the middle of his race, and in the end he finished back in the midfield, so the less said about him the better. And then also as well, the extra tip, France de Rev, not sure what to think really. Maybe once, maybe slightly further up in trip, did have a bit of a wide passage. Nico wasn't always happy, did plug on to finish in third place in the end. Yeah, not sure where we stand with that horse. Maybe you would have to see the makeup of the race before getting involved again. But yeah, all in all, it's not been a great day today, but fingers crossed, like I said, hopefully we can claw a little bit back with Glowing for Gold in the 7:30 at Wolverhampton. So let's get into the tips for tomorrow, where I've got 4. And we're actually going to be focusing on pretty much all the meetings in the UK tomorrow, at least anyway, one selection from each. And we're going to be starting with my next best tomorrow at Beverley in the 240, which is the conditions race there. And I thought the old boy Ornate here could be the one to go with, and I think he's outstanding value actually at 7-4. I think he should be a lot shorter in the betting. Al-Jadi and Caspian Prince look his main dangers. Obviously Caspian Prince has been making the headlines a couple of times this year, most notably last time, where I think he actually set the course record at Yarmouth at the age of 11 years old, and he's been a great servant for Connections, but so is Ornate. And I just thought the fact that tomorrow he's going to be getting £11 from Al-Jadi and £10 from Caspian Prince made him really well treated, and it wouldn't take too much to bounce back anywhere near his best form. He's been keeping some good company this year. He ran at the weekend when he finished 5th in a Group 3 at Newbury on probably a course that didn't suit him. I would imagine a track like Beverly, where he's won that before, would definitely be more up his street. He ran a good race as well earlier in the year when he finished 3rd behind Batashino and Glass Slippers, and that form's obviously been boosted as Glass Slippers went on to win a Group 1 in Ireland, the Flying 5 Stakes at the Curragh last weekend. So the form does look fairly strong from Ornate on some of his most recent outings. And the fact, like I said, he's going to be getting so much weight tomorrow is a massive positive for me. He's a horse, we know he likes to get quickly away, and he's probably going to try and make all. He's got a good draw on stall too, which means he can go against the far side rail there at Beverley, and if he gets a good start, he might just be a little bit hard to peg back, especially as well in the fact that he's going to be receiving weight from some of his rivals. So yeah, I think he's got a lot in his favour tomorrow, and even if there was a little bit of a drift, I could see definitely the other two horses definitely having their backers, and that might drift them out to maybe like 5-2, 11-4. I think that would be sorry about the sneeze now. I thought that would be a terrible price for him, really, if he did drift out, and be very disrespectful for him if he did drift out to 11-4. I'm really sweet on his chances tomorrow, and I'd be disappointed if he wasn't there fighting it out for the win in the finish tomorrow. I think he's got a lot of class still, and even though yes, his rating has gone down, he has demonstrated that he's still got the ability. And like I said, with the amount of weight he's receiving in this race tomorrow, I think he's really well treated, and he should be winning this in my opinion. So that's going to be the tip there. We then go to the long shot of the day, which runs in the 440 at Warwick, and I'm going with a horse here called Vivas for Charlie Longsdon, and Paul O'Brien, who's his conditional jockey, claims a handy £3 off the horse's back. You can currently back him at 10-1 at the moment, which I still think definitely has a bit of value in it, and I'm going to recommend an each way selection on him. Now, when I looked at him earlier, I really did fancy him, and one of the early prices I saw, obviously I'm not going to be putting this price up because he's not that price at the current time of recording, but I believe around about 4 o'clock you could have got 25-1 on him, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. Because my theory behind Vivas is tomorrow is going to be the time to catch him. He's got a fantastic record, fresh. He won at this meeting, I believe, last year, off a mark of 130 over 2.5 miles on good ground. So we know he likes to track. We know the conditions will be in his favour, and we know he likes to go well fresh. And also as well, if you go back through his career even further, in 2018 he won on his seasonal reappearance, which I think came at Fontwell. And then if you go back to 2017, he won on his seasonal appearance there, where I believe it was at Uttoxeter. So he's got some great form in the book when running fresh, and we know this is definitely going to be the time to catch him tomorrow. Also as well, Charlie Longsdon tends to do very well at this time of year, especially as well when we're getting the crossover period where the summer jumps horses are having some of their last runs of the season, and we're starting to see the winter horses coming back to the scene. We get a bit of a crossover period, but I always find Charlie Longsdon seems to do really well at this time of year. I believe he's already had 6 winners in September. Okay, they were early on in this month, but he's still not a man you don't want to be laying too many of his horses at this time of year. And I just think Vivas has got a lot in his favour tomorrow, going to be getting plenty of weight from some smart performers in the likes of Young Wolf, who I think actually, even though they are, like I said, a smart performer, they might not have too much more to offer in the weights. And I think the handicappers has got him where he wants. And I think Vivas tomorrow, like I said, off a mark of 130, where on his day he's definitely capable of winning off this mark, has got quite a lot of things in his favour tomorrow, and I think the angle in fresh really is the key to him, and I wouldn't actually be at all surprised if he went off a little bit shorter. You can currently get the 10-1 with quite a few firms, and I think that's a good each way bet there, and I'll be disappointed if Vivas can continue his great record when going fresh. We then go the extra tip tomorrow, which runs in the 550 at Lingfield, where I go with a horse called Systemic for James Doyle and Hugo Palmer. You can currently back him at 7-1. I'm going to recommend an each way section here as my extra tip. That was currently available Bet365 at the time recording. Now this horse makes his handicap debut tomorrow off a mark of 72, and for anyone that's watching the Lingfield race last time on the all-weather on his second start and taking that as a face value run, well, you really need to dig into some of the form, because even though it was a very peculiar race to watch and a lot of the field was strung out like the laundry, the form is absolutely fantastic, because the first place horse was a horse of John Gosden's called Faisal, where Holly Doyle bolted up on her first winner for Ahmed Al Sagar. Faisal went on to win again at Wolverhampton. You had the second place horse John Locke run in some good races since. He finished second to Ocean Wind, who obviously boosted the form at the weekend there in the Cesarovic handicap, and John Locke himself went on to win again, or went on to break his duck, I should say, at Goodwood. So the second horse has won. You also as well had the third place horse. He's running some good races since and is now rated 82, finishing the places there. You also as well had Goldie Hawk for Chris Wall. That horse has gone in a couple of times, and also as well the sixth place horse Kaleidoscopic for Mick Shannon got his head in front at Sandown last week. So the form from that race is really good, and I think making a handicap debut off a mark of 72, this horse is definitely going to be taking a step forward, I think, and is definitely a major player. Now Hugo Palmer as well, his horses are absolutely flying. They're operating at a 35% strike rate. You might remember last week one of our winning naps came from Hugo Palmer's yard. That was Hamish Macbeth. So his horses are seeming to be coming to the fore now, and I just think there's a lot of things in this horse's favour tomorrow, with his most recent form, the fact that the yard's going well, a good draw, he can go okay at the track. I expect a prominent ride really from James Doyle, and I think on his third career start he will have a lot more to give. So Systemic at 7-1, I think he's a dangerous player in the field tomorrow, and for me he's going to be my extra tip there. We then go to the 6:40 at Newcastle, where we go with a horse called Mango Chutney. Everyone loves a bit of mango chutney. I normally like a bit of mango chutney when I'm having a curry, but I'm hoping tomorrow we might be able to pay for Indian takeaway or something. Now this horse Mango Chutney is trained by John Davis and Connor Beasley's, but for the ride you can currently back him at 72. Now I was looking at the race replay of this horse earlier, and he bumped into a horse last time called Reesdale Rebel, who's going to be reopposing tomorrow, and that horse Reesdale Rebel for Susan Corbett won last time at Newcastle. However, Mango Chutney, who finished in third place that day, had quite a few excuses. He had not particularly good draw, and he lost a bit of ground at the start, and then he ran into quite a few traffic problems, and then when he finally got going he managed to get a gap, and he finished really strongly late on, and he was definitely the one to take out of the race. He finished in third place, running on really strongly. That was over 7 furlongs. He's going up to a mile tomorrow, which shouldn't be a problem. He's ran some good races in the past over this trip, so that should be no worries there. He's also as well going to be better off slightly at the weights. There's a £3 swing this time with Reesdale Rebel. There's only going to be a couple of pounds between them this time, so that's going to be in his favour as well. I think the race is not that strong as well. If you look at it as a whole, I think it's between the first two in the betting, and I just think this time it's Mango Chutney's time to get his head in front. He's been running some really promising races, and he's a horse that likes to come from off the pace, and he's still pretty well handicapped in my opinion. He's rated off a mark of 58, and his last win actually came back in 2018. Yes, he hasn't won for a while, but I thought this was as weak as they get. There wasn't too many dangerous except the favourite, and I think he can reverse the form tomorrow. Like I said, he's going to be better off at the weights, and I think going up in trip will definitely suit him as well. And I just think there's a lot in his favour tomorrow, and I just think it could be his turn, and I'm really sweet on his chances. And I thought 7-2 there was a bit of value, and that is why he is going to be my nap for tomorrow's racing. So I'll quickly just recap there. In the 2:40 at Beverley, we go with Ornate at 7-4 as my next best. In the 4:40 at Warwick, we go with Vivas at 10-1 each way as the long shot of the day. The extra tip runs in the 5:50 at Lingfield with Systemic at 7-1 each way, and then we go with the net, which runs in the 6:40 at Newcastle, and that is Mango Chutney 7-2 win only bet. So they're the 4 tips for tomorrow's racing. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button for more videos here on my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Twitter as well, where my handle is at LuckyLoader15. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, why don't you check out my website, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please game responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.